Hey, everybody, welcome to the Glen Kuiper Show, the day after the Super Bowl and the day before the start of spring training. That's why I'm extra excited tonight. It's our spring training preview show. This is what we're going to cover. What makes spring training so great in my eyes, but I want the viewers out there to really be involved tonight. I want to know what you guys do when you go to spring training. I want to know what restaurants you go to. I want to know what bars you go to. I want to know what you enjoy watching at the game. What makes spring training so special? Because it all starts tomorrow in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we're going to have some fun with that. I also want to know what you guys think about the Giants lineup. I promised we were going to talk about that. That's something else we're going to kick around. I got some ideas. I want your ideas for the Giants lineup. And remember, nothing's right, nothing's wrong. Just we're going to have some fun with the ideas of what the Giants lineup is going to look like. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be looking for in spring training, specific stuff when it comes to this team. And then we'll finish on Kyle Harrison, the former Giant, traded again today, and we'll kick that trade around, get some ideas on that. So it's going to be a fun show. It's our spring training preview show. It's just me tonight, and that's why I want the viewers out there to be involved, because I want to see what you guys think about some of my ideas, as always. So that's what we're doing tonight on the Glen Kuiper Show, and it is going to be a fun show. And the Glen Kuiper Show is, of course, brought to you by the Carrig Real Estate Team, who have been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service since 1978. So whether you're in the market to buy or sell a new home, the Carrig Real Estate Team will guide you home. Contact Mike Carrig today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. You can call him at 925-548-4132. We are also brought to you by the good folks at Tilden Properties. By investing in California's multifamily real estate with Tilden Properties, you'll see quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market. They are always looking for investors to join them in the purchase of as I said, California's multifamily real estate. Bay Area-based, family-owned Tilden Properties. Call them 925-209-8558 if you are interested in becoming an investor. And the Glen Kuiper Show is also brought to you by Partners Capital LLC, a wealth management firm providing financial strategies for elite performance and lasting peace of mind, with experience guiding professional athletes and the families next door. Partners Capital delivers thoughtful planning, steady guidance, and a clear path forward. Your partner for a stronger financial future. That is Partners Capital LLC. Call them 1-888-702-7743. And the Glen Kuiper Show also brought to you by Area Rug Cleaning Direct. It's a subsidiary of Gamble's Flooring. Now, if your area rug needs professional cleaning or repair, Area Rug Cleaning Direct will pick up and return your area rug within 5 business days, looking brand spanking new. Family owned and proudly serving the Bay Area for over 35 years. Call Area Rug Cleaning Direct at 925-933-9999 for all of your area rug needs. All right, those, as always, love to hear from our sponsors. But now I'm ready to hear from you guys. All right, 45 days from opening night at Oracle Park. Yes, it's opening night this year. Wednesday, March 25th, Giants, Yankees, 45 days away, a month and a half. That's how close we are to the start of the 2026 baseball season. I'm kind of psyched. I'm sure you are too. And tomorrow, spring training starts at Scottsdale Stadium in beautiful Old Town Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm a little excited, as you can probably tell, because I love spring training. I love spring training for all the reasons that you guys probably love it as well. I've been going to Scottsdale, Arizona every year since 1988. I have not missed a spring training, and I enjoy it now as much as I did however long that was ago, 35 years ago, whatever it is. I enjoyed the same stuff. I enjoy going to the restaurants. The bars are fun. The restaurants, the hotels are all beautiful. The golf courses are great. And the ball games are so much fun, whether you're working or not. So when it gets close, and I'm going down February, I'll be there from February 27th to March 15th. So a nice little over two straight weeks down there, which I can't wait for that. But so that got me to thinking. Those are my reasons. I want to hear you guys' reasons for what makes spring training so special, and see if they're anywhere close to the same reasons that I have. And I had Marty Lurie on, the great Marty Lurie, last week, and he said something that really hit me about kind of the start of the season and spring training. And he said, spring training is the time that you, as a baseball fan, as a Giants fan, gets reintroduced to the game of baseball and reintroduced to your team. And it made a lot of sense to me the more I thought about it, because baseball's that game that's there every day. We always hear that, and it is. What do you get, 3 or 4 days off in a month? The fans are right in it the same way. It comes into your living room almost every day for 6-7 months. It's part of your life for 6 or 7 months, and then it's gone. And spring training brings you back into the game of baseball. I mean, really, if you're a big fan, or if you're working for the organization, or obviously players, coaches, they're all in it too, but you're in it for 7 to 8 months. And it really, really starts when spring training starts. That's a really powerful thing. And I've been involved in baseball my whole life since I was a little kid. When I was 11 years old, that's when my brother Dwayne made it to the major leagues for the first time as an 11-year-old. So this has been part of me, and I'm sure you guys out there feel the same way about the game. So it's a little bit romantic for me, and I hope it is for you guys too. And it all starts tomorrow when spring training pitchers and catchers for the first time. So that is super exciting. And another thing that stands out to me is just the atmosphere down there. It's that relaxed atmosphere where people are really there to enjoy their team, but they're also there to just enjoy and have a good time. And that's why everybody's relaxed. It doesn't matter whether your team wins or loses. The standings don't matter in spring training. So there's that feeling of, I'm just sitting here and I'm watching a game, and my favorite team is playing, and the atmosphere at Scottsdale Stadium, which we're going to get to in a moment, it is terrific, and it's fun. And there's not that concern about, well, are we going to win or lose today? Are we going to win or lose tonight? Are we going to blow a game late? Are we going to win a game? It doesn't matter. So everybody just has that relaxed feeling, and you're in the sunshine, and you're on vacation for the most part, right? If you're down there watching the games, you're on vacation. So that relaxed atmosphere just resonates, not just through the stadium, but it resonates through downtown Scottsdale and Old Town. You've all been there. You know what I'm talking about. You just feel it, right? And I think that's so cool, because you really do notice that, man, this is just relaxing. And I know the season's going to start, and we're all going to be into wins and losses and where we are in the standings and what other teams are doing, but that doesn't matter for this 6-week stretch that we call spring training. And that's really, that adds to the enjoyment of it. I don't think there's any doubt. People have fun down there. I've had fun down there. You guys have had fun down there. It's almost impossible not to have a good time, right? And that gets us to my next point about what it's so special for me is, and this is where, and you got to trust me on this, Giants fans have it really, really good, because Scottsdale Stadium, in my opinion, is the best setup, definitely in Arizona. Okay. And here's why I say that. And I know you may say, well, yeah, you're a Giants guy, whatever. No, but realistically, I've been to all the other stadiums in Arizona, and there's some very nice stadiums. I mean, ballpark, stadium, whatever you want to call it. But there definitely is some really nice stadiums, but none of them are really like Scottsdale Stadium because it's a downtown ballpark. Now, not downtown in the way you think of in a major city like Oracle Park, but it's right in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale. The other parks in Arizona don't have that. They don't. And I've been to them all, and they're very nice. That's the one right up the freeway, Talking Stick, where the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are. It's gorgeous. It's a beautiful ballpark, but you're driving there. So Scottsdale Stadium to me is very, very unique in Arizona, and I've been to some of the spring training ballparks in Florida. I have not been to all of them, so I can't say that there's not something similar to Scottsdale Stadium as you're right downtown. I don't know. There may be a couple in Florida, but there's not another one unless I'm missing something. But I've been to all of them in Arizona that have that type of feel where if you're a Giants fan, okay, you don't need to rent a car. You can get yourself a nice hotel right in Scottsdale somewhere. You can walk to the ballpark. You can walk to every restaurant. You can walk to every bar. You can shop. You can do everything you want. It's a wonderful spring training setup the Giants have for, obviously, I think the players love it, but I'm talking about from a fan's perspective and why I think it's so special down there. And Scottsdale Stadium is a big reason for it. Now there's places that are a little bit bigger, maybe have a little bit more room, but I say it again, I've been to all of them, and Scottsdale Stadium to me has the best vibe. People are having fun, they're into it, and they're walking to the game, they're walking after it. It's just a cool way that it's set up. And you Giants fans are recipients of that. And I hope you realize that. And I know you've probably gone to, the new Cubs park right up the road in Mesa, or down the road, I should say. It's a great ballpark. It's big. It holds 14, 15,000 people. But again, you're driving there. You're parking, you're driving, it's just a different vibe. And it's very, very cool. And the thing that I enjoy, and those are things that stand out to me and why I enjoy going down there so much. But one of the things that I like, and I said this on the show with Marty the other day, is when I'm at the ballpark, is I love watching the teams, and in this case, the Giants. And when I worked for the A's, it was the same thing. Watching teams do their drills in the morning before, you get there early, and you can get into these stadiums pretty early. And when I say drills, I'm not talking about taking ground balls like they do before every regular season game. I'm talking about they're installing their bunt plays. They're installing their cutoff plays. They're installing their pickoff plays. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but I love watching that because you're watching major leaguers, right? So here you are, you're watching major leaguers, but they're doing these basic fundamental things that, gosh, if you played, you worked on in little league and high school, right? And these guys are so good. It's just enjoyable watching them, but it's fun. It's very much enjoyment for me. Maybe not for the next person, but for me, I'll sit in that dugout in spring training and just watch them do the simplest things, rundown drills, right? And you're thinking, well, it's a rundown, but there's something about it for me that I really, really enjoy. So those are some of the things that, maybe sounds a little quirky, maybe it sounds a little funky, but those are the things that stand out to me about spring training from a fan's perspective. And it just never, ever, ever gets old. Not for me, it doesn't. And again, every year since 1988, and I cannot wait to get on the plane on February 27th and get down there and have all those feelings that I just talked about. So that's that's what I enjoy about spring training. Next up, we'll talk about what I'm going to look for in spring training. And again, I'm going to check my comments because I want to hear what you guys are thinking about and what makes spring training so enjoyable. So I appreciate you guys checking in on this. All right, we got some good comments here. Cole's become a good watcher of the show. He checks in a lot. He says, "Hey, Glenn," and I said, "Hey, Cole, what's up? How you doing? I like the golf cart." So his comment is, will you be heading out to Scottsdale? Yes, as I said, 27th through the 15th. And listen, I don't know what you guys look like, what you gals look like, but please, if you see me at the stadium or anywhere, introduce yourself because I would love to meet you guys. I would love to meet everybody in person that watches this show, and I really truly mean that. It just makes it a little more personal for me. Cole says, my favorite restaurant is Culinary Dropout in Scottsdale. Always great. Yes, I've been there one time. I do know where it is. And tell me if I'm wrong, Cole, but it's one of like 100 restaurants to choose from. There's new restaurants every year down there. And now there's, the way it was 20 years ago, now there's condominium complexes and apartment complexes going up all over Scottsdale area, all over right in Old Town. That's been the biggest change that I've noticed. All right, Italian 116. I really like the Italian Grotto. Was upset when it closed. Yeah, that was right there on Scottsdale Road, right in the heart of Old Town, right on the corner. And yeah, that was a super popular place. Not a real big place, but it was always crowded. And if you could get in there, good for you. And I think the joke was that the gentleman who owned it, and I met him once, but I don't know his name, but the gentleman owned it was a big Yankees fan, if I remember correctly. But and I did hear that it closed, which is a shame because that was a very, very popular place, the Italian Grotto. Maybe they'll open it again. Nice ballpark. Yeah, it is. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I've been to them all, and this one is Scottsdale Stadium. It's not the newest. It's not the shiniest, but it has the best vibe, I think. Cole says, one of my favorite food choices was at the ballpark getting the island noodles. Also, the helmet nachos are always good. Yeah, the island noodles down the third base line, if I remember correctly, at Scottsdale Stadium. So I'm doing my best to remember anything. This is great. I appreciate you guys. Lemonade, just like Grandma used to make. Yep. Oh, yeah. All right. Sports Take says, no offense, but why would any Giants fan want to go to spring training right now? The games don't matter. Plus, we're always 500. If the team consistently played playoffs, then I would go. All right. Sports Takes, yeah, he's been a little down on the Giants lately. I'd like to see him be a little more positive, but you know what? That's his opinion, and I totally respect it. The reason you go is because it's fun. It's enjoyable. Take a vacation. Don't worry about the team finishing 500 or, and if you're down on the Giants and you're sick of them and you don't want to go to see them, then go to the other ballparks, man. Go to Talking Stick. Go see the A's in Mesa. Go to the Cubs place in Mesa. They're great. They're great ballparks to watch a game. I mean, if you're down on the Giants, that's totally okay. I mean, I may not agree with you, but that's okay. But then go to the other parks. It's so much fun that it just, to me, it doesn't, what your team is doing the off season and where they're at and whether you like it or not. That's not going to, it shouldn't keep you from wanting to go to spring training because spring training is just, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. All right, let's see if anybody else is checking in here with some great comments. All right, so all right, here's Dan, our good friend Dan Cook-Emilio, who does his own show. He's got a great show that covers the Giants. I'll see you there, Glenn. Looking forward to it. Please do. All right. All right, and Taliana 116 is Gary. All right, that's good to know. Please, if you see me in Scottsdale, introduce yourself. All right. So he's checking. I'm down on the Giants, but I'm too diehard not to talk about them all the time. See, that's why you go to spring training, because you're a diehard and you're going to have a great time. I hope you're down there. Introduce yourself. We'll go have a cocktail at the ballpark. How about that? But hang in there. Hang in there. So anyway, that's great stuff. I appreciate you guys checking in on this with some of these awesome questions, and yeah, you're understanding where I'm coming from here with, I'm trying to get rid of this comment, with how much I enjoy spring training. Now, what am I going to be looking for when I get down there? That's a big one from a baseball standpoint. So let's shift gears here a little bit and get to the baseball part of this. What am I going to be looking for the San Francisco Giants? Well, I think some of you guys will agree with this, but the first thing that I will keep a close eye on in the next 5-6 weeks is, how does the bullpen shake out? I think this is a huge question mark for the Giants. There's 31 pitchers in camp by my count, 23 on the 40-man roster, and there's 8 non-roster invitees pitchers. So if my math serves me correct, that's 31 pitchers in camp. That's a lot. Now, some of them are starters, obviously, but we know who the starters are. So there's openings that are going to be there for the taking in the bullpen. I'm convinced of that. But who's going to do it? Who's going to grab these spots? And again, there's a lot of question marks surrounding this bullpen. We know that. There's going to be a whole bunch of candidates out there, and I'm going to watch this closely. And I think most Giants fans will do the same, because there is some concern about the bullpen. Who's a lock, right? And Marty and I talked about this last week, and we weren't in full agreement about who. Walker's a lock, Miller's a lock, Hentges, the lefty they signed, is a lock. But realistically, is Buto a lock? The guy they got from the Mets? Probably. Is Bivens a lock? Is Brubaker a lock? Is Matt Gage a lock, the lefty they brought in? I don't know that those guys have a spot sewn up. I really don't. Where do these young starters that we talk about pretty much every show, the Birdsongs, the Wisenhunts, the McDonald's, the Tidwells, the Seymours, Keaton Wynn, where do they fit into this whole thing? Are they bullpen candidates at the big league level, or are they going to be sent to AAA, have a nice rotation there of good young starters that are ready to step in if somebody falters at the big league level in the rotation, or if somebody gets hurt? So where do they fit in? Where do some of these non-roster guys fit in? There's 8 relievers. That's it. You got 13 pitchers on your staff. 5 are starters, 8 are relievers. That's it. So I think this is going to be a fascinating thing to watch. And you hope, and what the Giants really need to have happen, you need to have a couple guys step up. I don't want to say come out of nowhere, but maybe one of them, I don't know. But this is important. This is important because there are a lot of question marks. And I think Ryan Walker is, of any pitcher, and I'm talking any pitcher on this staff, Ryan Walker may be the most important, if you think about it. Because if he's Ryan Walker of 2024, he was really good in 2024. Last year, very inconsistent, and he clearly lost his confidence. You can't have a closer with a lack of confidence. So which guy are we going to get? That's a huge thing. So the bullpen, to me, I will watch very closely. Guys that maybe we don't know much about. Can anybody step up? What will these young starters do? How will they fit into the possibility of joining the bullpen? And which Ryan Walker are we going to get? That is a huge story for this 2026 season, and it starts tomorrow. And that is something that I will watch very closely. Second thing I'm going to watch is Ron Washington. terrific, right? Wash is on board. He's in the orange and black. He has seen it all. And I have to tell you that this infield guru thing with Ron Washington is real. Okay. I'm not saying anybody is questioning that, but it's real. I saw it firsthand in 2015 and 2016. Those were Wash. You remember he was with the A's, and then he did magic with Eric Chavez and Miguel Tejada. Eric Chavez was not a great third baseman. He ended up winning 6 Gold Gloves, and Wash had a lot to do with that. But then Wash managed the Texas Rangers. Remember, he went back to the A's in 2015, and I saw it firsthand. Marcus Semien, a young shortstop, we weren't sure that Marcus could play shortstop. His first year in 2016, Marcus made 35 errors at shortstop. And on top of the errors, he did not look comfortable at short. He did not look smooth. His actions at short were not great. Okay. We weren't sure that he was a big league shortstop. And I've said it on the show. Nobody loves Marcus Semien more than I do. He's one of the greatest guys you can possibly meet, and a terrific player. But he just really did not look comfortable at short. He works with Wash every day in 2015. Work, early work. Put it in. Marcus put the time in. Wash was there with him. He comes back in 2016. His error total drops to 21. So he went from 35 errors to 21 errors. 21 errors is still a lot, but you see the improvement. And then he just continued to get better. And Wash left the A's after 2016. But as time just kept going on, Semien got better and better and better, to the point where in 2019, Marcus played every day and he made 12 errors at shortstop. And I'm telling you, folks, the 2 years that he had with Ron Washington, it was obvious. And I watched them every day before the game go out and do drills. Okay. Now, the point is you have two guys that can use Ron Washington's help. Luis Ariz, the new second baseman, we all know that. And I think Rafael Devers, who I think is going to end up, when it's all said and done, to be just fine at first base. I'm not super concerned about that, but he has the ability to get better, and Wash will help him. So you think about that. That's your first baseman and your second baseman. And I know there's a lot of angst about these guys. The right side of the infield's terrible defensively, which I think that's overstating it. Devers is not terrible. Ariz has a ways to go, but you have Ron Washington with those two guys that can and will make a huge difference if those two guys are willing to work. And from what I've heard, yes, they absolutely are. Okay. Don't underestimate what Ron Washington can do. Okay. It can be very impactful. That's how good he is. And that is something to watch. That's something we can all watch. And that's not just spring trade. That's as the season goes on. Are these guys willing to work with Wash every day? And if they are, that is going to be a huge step in the right direction for the Giants. And that's going to be a huge step in the right direction for the careers of, listen, Devers has got a long contract. He's fine. But for Luis Ariz, who's only 28 years old and has to show that he is more of a complete player, not just a designated hitter, not just a guy who can hit, that will be huge for his career. So that, to me, is something that, let's not just watch it in spring training. Let's watch it as the season starts too. So I'm going to keep a close eye on the Ron Washington effect, because it's real, because I witnessed it. And he was with the Atlanta Braves for a long time. Ask the Braves infielders, So that's the real deal, folks. You need to understand that. The next thing I'm going to keep a close eye on when I'm down there, and this is going to be kind of fun, but it's also going to be very, very interesting to me, is Tony Vitello and his coaching staff. That group working with the players for the first time. And this is an easy one, right? Because we're all very, very curious about how Vitello is going to do. Not just us as Giants fans, but all of Major League Baseball. Baseball's watch this like, wow, how's this guy going to do? How's this guy going to do? Right, coming right from college, and we get all that. But that's going to be something that everybody's watching. But I want to keep a close eye too on the coaching staff. This is all new guys. So how is the coaching staff as a group going to come together and all pull in the same direction with Tony Vitello? And how is that new group of coaches, how are they going to get on the same page with all the players? And they will. But the reason I say that is there's 12 new coaches, 12 coaches total, but almost all of them are new. I have the list right here. Okay, so let's go through it. Bench coach is Chase Tingler, new. Pitching coach, Justin Message, new. Director of Major League Pitching, Frank Anderson, new. Assistant pitching coach, Christian Wanders, new. Hitting coach, Hunter Mentz, new. Assistant hitting coach, Oscar Bernard. He's a returner, okay? And then you got Ron Washington, who we talked about. You got Jesse Chavez, who's the bullpen coach. He's new. Alex Berg, the catching coach, he's a returner. He was there last year. First base coach, Shane Robinson. Now, he's been in the system, but he's new at the big league level. Hector Borg, third base coach. He's been in the Giants minor league system, but he's new at the major league level. Think about how many times I said new guy. So almost all of them are new guy, except Alex Berg and Oscar Bernard. Every other coach is a new coach some of them coming from other organizations. So now you have new ideas, you have new philosophies, you have new personalities that the players need to get used to. Okay. And the coaches need to first of all, you need to get to know everybody. The coaches need to get to know the players. The players need to get to know the coaches. That seems like a minor deal. And that will happen naturally. They're together, right? Spring training. And listen, everybody knows that everybody's new. The coaching staff is new. There will be efforts made to get everybody comfortable, everybody on the same page. But like I said, you're installing new philosophies to the hitters. You're installing new philosophies to the pitchers. That's a big deal. That is not a small thing. And you have to convince big league players that this philosophy is good. What I have to bring is good. Okay. And you think about it. Take Hunter Mentz. Okay. He's the hitting coach, comes from the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays did everything offensively last year that we wish the Giants would do. Okay. Now, is the talent level the same? Is the lineups the same? There's not that much difference, okay? But the philosophy was, they put the ball in play. They ground through it. They walked a lot. They didn't strike out a lot. They did all the things that we hope the Giants can do better, okay? So Hunter Mentz is going to come in, and he's going to say, here it is. You watched the Blue Jays last year, and I was their hitting coach. And look what they did. And this is what we need to do better. We need to be better at these things. That's fair, right? So that my point is, it's like they all have to get together. Vitello and the coaching staff need to jive. And the coaching staff and the players need to jive. The hitters and the hitting coaches need to jive. So that takes a while. It's a process. But it's also something that you see firsthand in spring training, and you almost see it more there than you do in the regular season, just because there's more time to work in spring training. Guys are working. Matt Chapman's not playing every day in spring training. He's going to take a day off, and he's going to go to the batting cage. He's going to work his butt off. That's what happens. You may not see him. You may be there on a Wednesday afternoon and it's a home game at Scottsdale. Matt Chapman's not there. he's in the cage. So that's the way it works. But it's going to be fascinating to see how this big group, coaches, manager, player, all get to know each other and all get together and all agree on the same philosophy or get close to agreeing, and all are pulling the same rope, the same direction. That's what Buster Posey wants here. Everybody in it be together and pull for the same reason. And if they can get that, and they will, it's just a matter of how long it takes because there's so many new coaches. And the Vitello thing, that's its own thing, right? He's new too. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. And I'm looking forward to watching it firsthand, where you can get a little bit closer to the action in spring training. And when I say action, you can hear coaches talking to the hitters a little bit more in the dugout, because you're in the dugout a little bit more than maybe you are during the regular season. So that's something that again, another thing I'm very much looking forward to. And there's a little caveat to all this, and that's the WBC. Okay. So the Giants have 8 players that will be involved in the WBC. And those 8 guys could be gone a week. They could be gone longer, depending on how far your team goes, whatever team you're on. So maybe there's a little less time to work with your guys, specifically the guys that are leaving for the WBC. I mean, listen, the Giants' entire outfield is in the WBC. Ramos, Lee, they're gone. Bader's gone. So how long are those 3 guys going to be gone? We don't know. It depends on how far their team advances. But you're going to be without your 3 outfielders, and Luis Ariz is playing in the WBC. So that's 4 guys who are will be in the lineup that will not be there for a period of time. Will that make a difference? I don't know, but it does it's just less time for that group of coaches that we're talking about to jive with some of these guys who are going to be gone. So is that an issue? I don't know. But one thing that is kind of fun with this, though, is those guys are going to be gone in the WBC. We don't know how long, but it will allow us to see more young players. Okay. I mean, if your 3 starting outfielders are gone for a week or to 10 days or whatever, whatever they're gone in the WBC, we're going to see Bo Davidson play more. That's exciting to me. We'll see, is Drew Gilbert's going to play? Luis Matos, is Matos still in the picture? So we're going to get to see those guys a little bit more. But the WBC is a thing. Okay. It is a thing. Does it cause issues? I don't know. Probably not. But again, the point I'm making is the guys that are gone will have a little less time to come together, with all these new coaches. So anyways, that's the stuff that me personally am going to be watching when I get to spring training. And I think all those things are important. And there's lots of things that we could be watching. Trust me, everybody may have their own things that they want to keep a close eye on when spring training starts. So let's get to some more comments, because you guys are awesome. And let's see. All right, let's see. I like Tony Vitello, and I really hope he succeeds, but I think ownership and the front office are setting him up to fail with this roster. Insane sports takes. Come on. We need you to be a little more positive, especially with the bullpen. I hope I'm wrong, though. Yeah, listen, I don't think they're setting it. Listen, they have high hopes for this kid, Vitello. I think he's going to be really good. I really, really do. But I know your concerns. I think they could be a little overblown, but I respect what you're saying, because listen, you may be right. I don't know. I just don't know that I necessarily feel that way. Should have kept the big Marine, Matt Williams. Yeah, well, I mean, you got to understand that Matt Williams, great coach, right? Matt Williams was a Bob Melvin guy. He was with him in Oakland. Bob and Matt, they were teammates long, long time ago with the Giants. And this is what happens. Guys go with the manager. Ryan Christensen did the same thing. And that's just what happens. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. A manager wants some of his guys. Matt Williams was a Bob Melvin guy. And, I think as a manager, if you were managing a team, you would want as many of your guys that you trust in a baseball sense. You would want as many of those guys as you can around you. I think so listen, do we miss Matt Williams? Absolutely. He's a good man. I love Matt Williams. But you have to allow the manager to have people that he is comfortable with. And, that's just what happens. It happens all the time at the big league level. Okay, let's see. Check one more. Bake That Dough says, does Eldridge's performance affect whether he makes the team or not, assuming he's not either awful or spectacular due to pitchers just working on stuff all spring? I think that's a good question, Bake That Dough. I think maybe his performance does a little bit. I think it's more of let's see how this guy looks. Does he look comfortable like he did last year at the big league level? I think we all want so much for Bryce Eldridge to make the team and for Bryce Eldridge to be in the lineup and have a good rookie season. We want that so much because listen, he's a Giants. He's the number one pick. It's exciting. It's fun. He's got a lot of potential. He could be a star. He's going to hit home runs. We just have to maybe tap the brakes a little bit and say, is he ready to play in the big leagues every day? Because if he's in the big leagues, he's got to play every day. This cannot be let's play him, and that wouldn't, let's play him 3 days. That's not happening. If he's not going to be in the big leagues unless he's playing every day. But we're asking a lot. We're asking a lot from Bryce Eldridge. But it's the fan in all of us that wants to see him. We want him to be in the big leagues, right? So I do think the Giants will keep a very, very close eye on him, Bake That Dough. And, listen, if he looks terrible in the spring, then he's probably not going to make the team. Does he have to hit 400 to make the team? No, I don't think that's the case either. I just think they're just going to watch him. How does he look? Is he comfortable? Does he look comfortable in the box? So that's a fun thing that we're all going to be watching close as well. But I just don't think that it's a given that he's going to be in the opening day lineup. It's fun to talk about, and it's fun to think about, and I hope he is. But we want him to stick, right? I don't want him to be in the opening day lineup and then struggle for a month and then go back to AAA. That happens all the time. It happened to the guy we just talked about, Matt Williams. I remember it way back in 1987. I remember it. 1988 when Matt got, he scuffled and then he came up and then boom, 1989, he started to go. So that could happen, but I don't know. As much as we'd all love to see it, I don't think it's a given. And I think we just need to remember where he's at in his development and how old he is. But he has a chance to be special. And that's a big thing. So let's keep that in mind, but let's also not, let's not let this thing that we want to have happen so bad cloud the reality of his age, if that makes any sense. So, okay. So next segment, this is going to be fun. And this is where, you guys are going to jump into this, I think. And I wanted to do this, and we're going to spend a lot more time. But remember, when we talk about the lineup, it's fun. There's no right. There's no wrong. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. It's just ideas. We're throwing them out there. Okay. And I wanted to do this because I have written down some lineups, and it's probably going to be totally different than what they run out there on opening day. But it's a great thing to talk about. So I want some of your thoughts on this, on the Giants lineup, and we're going to put Eldridge in there, okay? And we know who's playing, right? We know the 9 guys in the lineup. So let's have some fun, and let's throw a few ideas out there. I'll give you some ideas. You guys give me some ideas. But you know what? Remember, see if you write it down. Remember what you told me and what you want your lineup to look, what you want the Giants to look like, lineup to look like. And we'll see how close we all are on opening day or opening night. But remember, as you know, big league lineups change every single day. So, this is always a fun thing to talk about. And I think it's a little more intriguing now with some of the players the Giants have. So here's my thought. So I looked at the back of the lineup, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And I have settled on Bader hitting 9th, Bailey 8th, and Eldridge 7th. And we could flip-flop Bader and Patrick Bailey 8 and 9. I'm fine either way with those. I don't want Eldridge hitting anywhere further up the lineup if he's in that lineup, because I think it's just take the pressure off him, bat him down. Okay. So that's where I would start. Eldridge 7th, and then Bailey and Bader, or Bader and Bailey, however you want to do it. So now my next thought was, we know that Adames, Devers, and Chapman are going to hit in the middle of the lineup somewhere. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 6. If Ramos is there, whatever. Okay. So, but those guys they're not hitting down in the lineup, and they're not hitting in the leadoff spot. Those 3 guys I just mentioned. Fair? Okay. So that brings me to the 3 guys that make this conversation the most interesting. Okay. And that's Arise. And we're thinking lineup now. Where to put these guys? Where do you put Arise? Where do you put John Lee? And where do you put Ramos? You see what I'm saying? We know the back 3. We know the 3 guys that are going to be in the middle somewhere. But where does Arise, Ramos, and Lee go? Okay. You see how I'm trying to break this down in my head. You guys may not agree with this, but so my thought is Arise. Everybody says, no, I shouldn't say everybody, but I think the consensus is that he's going to bat in the leadoff spot. And that very well may be the case. But last year, he batted second most of the time in San Diego. Now, whether that makes a difference or not, I don't know. But in his career, he has had 421 games where he has batted in the leadoff spot. He's had 174 games where he's batted in the second spot. So he has been certainly a leadoff hitter much more than any other place in the lineup. But he has hit throughout the lineup, believe it or not. And listen, in his career, a 363 on base percentage for his career, a 317 batting average, that's pretty good. Those numbers were down last year a little bit. I know the on-base percentage was down, but in his career, and he's got a full 6 years of numbers, 363 on base percentage, that's pretty darn good, okay? But he also in his career has hit 349 with runners in scoring position. Does that sway you at all to put him somewhere else outside of the leadoff spot? I don't know. I don't know if there's enough pull there, because you're not going to get he's good with runners in scoring position in his career. The numbers don't lie. I mean, this is not a small sample size. This is a full 6-year career. So he's been good with runners in scoring position, Luis Arise, but he's not going to hit a 3-run homer. Okay, so that's where that comes in. So where do you put Elliot Ramos? We saw Ramos in the leadoff spot last year. Little unconventional, but not as unconventional as it used to be, because we're seeing more teams put a power hitter in the leadoff spot. So that's not unusual. So He hit in the leadoff spot last year, Elliot Ramos, 82 times. So about half the time. Um, so what do you think there? On base percentage last year, 328. Again, but 21 home runs. It's a different kind of leadoff hitter. He's not the conventional old school leadoff hitter, but we don't see those very much anymore. The San Diego Padres hit Fernando Tatis first. Okay. So where do you hit Ramos? Okay. So now that's the two of the three questions. Now, Jung-Hoo Lee. Where do you hit Jung-Hoo Lee? Okay. 327 on base percentage last year. And I'm not saying the on base percentage is the end all be all of where we're going to put the guy. I don't necessarily buy that. There's too many other numbers and metrics that we could be looking at. But Jung-Hoo Lee, we saw it. Started out hot, then got cold, but actually had a pretty good second half. He finished with 31 doubles. He finished with 12 triples. So there's some extra base hit there. And he hit everywhere in the lineup last year. We saw it. We saw him in the leadoff. But the place that he hit the most, third. He hit third 50 times last year in the Giants lineup. He moved around in the lineup. We saw him 6 spots, 7 spots, some as well. So what do you do with Jung-Hoo Lee? Where do you put those three guys? That's sort of where those three guys go. That they're going to fit in around the three guys in the middle. So I threw out some different lineups here. Tell me what you think about this one. Let me just, again, ideas. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. Here's the first one I threw out there. Arise, Adames, Lee, Devers, Chapman, Ramos, Eldridge, Bailey, Bader. So you got Arise and Adames in the 2-hole. Then you got back-to-back left-handed hitters, Lee and Devers. You got Chapman in the 5th spot, which I think that's a good spot for him. Chapman 5, Ramos 6. So you got back-to-back right-handed hitters with pop. Could do some damage in the 5th and 6th spot. Eldridge, Bailey, Bader. What do you think about that? That's just my first shot at throwing it out there. I also had a thought of hitting Devers third and hitting Ramos in the cleanup spot, and then Lee 5th and Chapman 6th. And that would give you the left, right, all the way through the lineup if you're into that kind of thing. Devers is going to hit lefties just like righties. That's not a big issue. So that lineup would be Arise, Adames, Devers, Ramos, Lee, Chapman, Eldridge, Bailey, Bader. I don't know. It's a thought. But again, that's with Arise at the top. What if you hit Ramos in the leadoff spot and then Arise second? You could go Adames third, Devers fourth, Chapman fifth, Lee sixth. So listen, I'm just throwing names out there, but you see what I'm saying? That's why the question to me is, where do you hit Arise? Where do you hit Ramos? Where do you hit Lee? What do you guys think? I know we got a lot of comments, so let's get to this because I'm just curious. I want you guys some ideas. Some ideas. Okay. All right. So let's get started with a kid. Gravy 707 says, I just want Chapman not to hit fourth. And I understand that. I listen, sometimes if you don't have anybody else to hit fourth, then that guy's got to hit fourth. And last year that was the case because Adames hit second a lot, Devers hit third, and then Chapman. So I get it. I've seen Matt Chapman his whole career. He's best hitting in the 5th or 6th spot. And I think that's where he'll be this year. But he's a better hitter with runners in scoring position than he was last year in his career. You do have to remember that. He had a down year last year. I think we know why. But I think hitting him 5th would be a good one. Okay. Insane Sports Take says, Arise, Devers, Adames, Ramos, Chapman, Eldridge, Lee, Bader, and Bailey. Okay. So a couple of lefties at the top with Devers. And Devers actually likes hitting second. I know he said that to Bob Melvin last year. It doesn't mean he's said I have to hit there, but he likes hitting there. So Adames 3rd, Ramos 4th. The Ramos hitting in the middle of the lineup thing does not bother me at all. I think he would be just fine. There's Chapman 5th. And then Sports Takes has Eldridge in the 6th spot and Lee 7th. So he's dropping Lee down to the 7th spot. That's interesting. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, there's another one. Mikey SF says you're going to put Lee ahead of Arise. And the thing is, Lee would learn more and probably produce more hitting numbers 2 behind him in the batting, hitting number 2 behind him in the batting order. You're going to put Lee ahead of Arise. Okay, learn more and probably produce more hitting numbers. Okay, so you would want Lee in the leadoff spot and then Arise hitting second. Is that what we're saying here? Okay, that, you know what? I would not have a problem with that. I really would. I wouldn't have a problem with Arise hitting second. It's just a matter of who you're going to put, in that. Who are you going to put in the leadoff spot? Okay, Bake That Dough says Lee, Adames, Devers, Ramos 4th, Arise. Wow, Arise in the 5th spot, huh? Chapman 6, Eldridge 7, Bader 8, Bailey 9. Interesting. So you have Arise hitting in the 5th spot. So you guys see what I'm saying? Maybe that's not a crazy thought. Maybe Arise is not locked into the leadoff spot. That's not a bad lineup. You got left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Which managers like. So very interesting. Very interesting. And then you get Arise, who has a good track record of hitting with runners in scoring position, but he's not going to hit 3-run homer. But you got him in the 5th spot. Chapman settles in nicely into the 6th spot. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's an interesting one. So that has Arise hitting in the middle of the order. So another thought. Dan checking in. I like Arise 5th, sandwiched with power. He hits well with runners in scoring position. Yeah, I mean I think that's a legitimate thought. But not only is he sandwiched, between power, but he would also probably be sandwiched in between a couple of guys who strike out a lot. And you that's another thing here. You may want to try to avoid the lining 3 guys up in a row that all have a tendency to strike out. So that could come into play. So we got a couple people here thinking that Arise in the 5th spot is not crazy. Huh. Mike says, why not let Lee hit second? One reason besides because you put your best hitter 2. Some people feel that it's a thing now that the best hitters should hit second. I don't know that Lee is your best hitter. I would say Devers is probably your best hitter. I wouldn't have a problem with Devers hitting second. But see, this is good. This is good stuff. Good ideas. Dan says they got away from batting Adames and Chapman back to back. They got to get away. They have to be separated, but at least one batter, preferably 2. And yeah, I mean, that's what we're saying. The guys who strike out, and they got some guys with strikeouts. If you could split them up at all, that's not a bad idea. And Elliot Ramos will strike out some. I mean, it's not a ridiculous amount, but he does have some strikeout. All right, this is good. This is good. Bake that dough says Chapman should be sixth, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I think fifth or sixth is a perfect spot for Matt Chapman. Mike says Ramos has to hit ahead of Chapman to me. Fifth spot is a good RBI spot. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Elliot Ramos. There's a little bit more to his game. I think in the end he's going to really be a good player. Now I know he had some mental lapses last year where he made mistakes. He's learning, but he's a pretty good offensive player with some more upside. Gosh, maybe. I mean, if Devers goes down toward the front of the order a second, then somebody's gonna have to hit cleanup, and I would not be opposed to Ramos hitting there and then Chapman fifth. But again, or Arise. It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's see. I just love we get to change the lineup card at our whim again. That's right. That's why we're doing this, Mike. We can make any lineup we want, and who knows if anybody's listening. All right, Alan in the 2989 LA says Lee, Arise, Devers. So 3 straight lefties. How about that? Adames fourth, Ramos fifth, Chapman sixth, and then Eldridge, Bailey, Bader. So see, that's a new twist. 3 lefties right in a row. Lee, Arise, Devers. Gosh, if you're playing against a team that maybe is right-handed heavy in the rotation, or maybe their best relievers are right-handers, and they may not want to bring in the lefty, and you got 3 in a row. I mean, that's not that's not a terrible lineup. Listen, it's not the 27 Yankees, but it's not a bad lineup. If you wanted to go 3 in a row at the top, 3 lefties in a row at the top. So good stuff. Good stuff. You know what, you guys, this is what I was looking forward to doing with everybody. Just checking it out, see the different ideas, and see, we got some people like Arise hitting fifth. We got some people with 3 lefties at the top. Devers hitting second. All fun stuff to talk about. And again, it's we're not curing anything here. We're just having some fun with the lineup. So let's switch gears and finish up our show with a trade that was made today and a familiar name. Kyle Harrison, of course, the Bay Area kid, great kid, got traded today to the Milwaukee Brewers. So the Red Sox trade Kyle Harrison, Shane Drohan, and David Hamilton to Milwaukee for Caleb Durbin, Andrew Monasterio, and Anthony Siegler. The 2 names, obviously, that jump out in this: Caleb Durbin, Kyle Harrison. Caleb Durbin was the Brewers, the team that won the most games in the National League. He was the Brewers' starting third baseman last year. Had 256, 11 homers, 53 RBIs. He could play second base as well. Not a big guy. Kind of reminds people of Dustin Pedroia. If he has a career like that, the Red Sox fans will love him. But remember, the Red Sox have been looking for a third baseman really since Bregman decided not to sign back with them. So they got a guy today, Caleb Durbin, just 1 year in the big leagues, but nice player. Nice player. He's not a star, but he's pretty solid. And so they get the third baseman they're looking for, and they trade Kyle Harrison, of course, the former Giant. 24 years old, third time now he's been traded, or I should say the second time he's been traded is the third team. But kind of a weird year for Kyle last year. Remember, he started out, he was a little late, a little slow coming out of spring training. But when it was all said and done last year, he only made 6 big league starts. Just a couple with the Red Sox after he got traded over there. And when you look at what the Red Sox did this offseason, there really was just no room for Kyle. He was down the depth chart. They went out, the Red Sox, remember, they added Sonny Gray, got him in a trade. They signed Ranger Suarez, and they also traded for Johan Oviedo from the Pirates. That's 3 starters that they acquired this offseason to go with Garrett Crochet and Brian Bello, the right-hander, who's a pretty good pitcher. So there's your five-man rotation right there. Okay. And they added 3 new starters to that rotation. And to take that a step further with the Red Sox, they have some very high-end pitching prospects that both got to the big leagues, pitched a little bit in the big leagues. Peyton Tolley and Connolly Early, both lefties. They're very close to being big league ready. I know they're sought after in trades, these two guys. So they have that depth. Is that depth enough? Who knows? But that is sort of what made Kyle Harrison, somewhat expendable, I would guess. But the Red Sox needed a third baseman. So the Brewers get Kyle Harrison. And listen, I think Kyle is going to have a better opportunity this year in Milwaukee than he was going to have in Boston. Remember, the Brewers traded Freddie Peralta, their ace. And really, after Brandon Woodruff in that Brewers rotation, there's other guys, but they're less established starters than the Red Sox had. And, so let's hope that there's a spot for Kyle in that rotation, or at least he gets a chance to compete for a spot in the rotation in spring training. Because I just don't know that there was not a shot for him to make that Red Sox rotation unless they had a couple injuries. So this will be hopefully a better opportunity for Kyle. So he heads to Milwaukee. Not an easy place to pitch. The ballpark in Milwaukee it's a launching pad. But Kyle's got good stuff. He's still learning a little bit, and we wish him good luck in Milwaukee. And let's hope he busts through and gets into that rotation to start the season, and gets a full year in the big leagues. So that was the trade that happened today, and we'll finish with the Rafael Devers trade, the one that got him to the San Francisco Giants. At the time, most people felt like it's a pretty good trade for the Giants. They got a middle-of-the-order hitter in the middle of his career. I think we felt the same way. You have to give up some stuff to get Devers, okay? So the trade now looks like this. Jordan Hicks was in that trade. Jordan Hicks was not good in Boston, and he got traded to the Chicago White Sox recently. The Giants saved $25 million on the contract of Jordan Hicks, okay? James Tibbs went from the Giants to the Red Sox in the Devers trade. Tibbs was a Giants #1 draft pick a couple of years ago. He was traded to the Dodgers for Dustin May. The Red Sox traded Tibbs after they acquired him from the Giants. They traded him just maybe a month and a half later to the Dodgers for Dustin May. Dustin May made 5 starts for Boston last year, and he signed as a free agent in the offseason with the St. Louis Cardinals. So Hicks is no longer with the Red Sox. James Tibbs is no longer with the Red Sox. The guy they got for James Tibbs is no longer with the Red Sox. Jose Bello is a very young pitcher. That was part of the deal. He threw 55 innings last year in single A. And then there's Kyle Harrison, who was the fourth and final guy that the Giants traded for Rafael Devers. And he was just traded to Milwaukee for Caleb Durbin, a starting third baseman. So my point here is this. That's a really, really, really bad trade for the Boston Red Sox. And I know one of the reasons they did it is they wanted to get out from under the contract. I get it. That's fine. I got no problem with that. But to get that in return now and what you got, that's a bad trade. And the Giants deserve a lot of credit because they were willing to take on a huge amount of money. Remember that, folks. They took on a huge amount of money. Okay. Now, it's a long contract, and it's on their books. Okay. Rafael Devers is going to be 37 years old when that contract expires. The last couple years of that contract, is he going to be an all-star type player? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. But let's remember this. Let's enjoy the fact that Rafael Devers is a San Francisco Giant. He's 29 years old. He's right in the middle of his career. And his 8 seasons as a big leaguer, he has averaged 33 homers and 106 RBIs per season. Okay. Those kind of guys are very, very hard to find. He's got a career OPS of 855. That's pretty good. Okay. So let's enjoy Rafael Devers for the next 5-6 years, because he will continue to produce at that level. If the last 2 years of that contract are not great, that's okay. But that's a long ways away. Let's enjoy the fact that the Giants made a very good trade, got a perennial all-star player in the middle of his career. Will it cost you a lot of money down the road? And maybe he's not producing, maybe the last couple of years. Yeah. That's what happens with these contracts. They're all over the place. Just look. Enjoy the fact that the Giants made a hell of a trade to get Rafael Devers, and the Red Sox really don't have much to show for that trade. So, but we wish Kyle Harrison the best as he heads to Milwaukee, and I hope the lefty figures it all out and puts together a heck of a career, and I hope he does it right there in Brewtown. So anyways, that's it for tonight's show, my spring training preview. I hope you enjoyed it. We had some fun tonight. You guys were awesome. Thank you for the lineups. Thank you for the fun stuff about spring training. And it all starts tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to start reading about what is going on at Scottsdale Stadium. And for that, I am very, very excited. Wednesday night show, 7 o'clock. Shayna Rubin from the San Francisco Chronicle will join us. She, of course, covers the Giants for the Chronicle. She does a great job. Shayna covered the A's for a long time, and she is down in Scottsdale, and she's going to join us, and she'll be able to give us some update on the first couple days of pitchers and catchers. It all starts tomorrow. So good stuff, good show, and you guys were awesome. All right, so we'll see you on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. But before we head out, let's let you know that the Glen Kuiper Show is brought to you by Partners Capital, LLC, with experience guiding professional athletes and the families next door. Partners Capital delivers thoughtful planning, steady guidance, and a clear path forward. Partners Capital, your partner for a stronger financial future. Call them at that number. And we're also brought to you by Tilden Properties. Tilden Properties is going to give you quarterly dividends and equity buildup in the real estate market if you invest with them, if you join them as investors as they purchase California's multifamily real estate. That's what they do. Get in on it. They're looking for investors. I'm telling you, it is a good deal. They're Bay Area-based family-owned Tilden Properties, building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. Isn't that what you really want if you're an investor? Glen Kuiper Show also brought to you by the Carrick Real Estate Team. Whether you're in the market to buy a home or sell your existing home, the Carrick Real Estate Team will guide you home. They have been helping families buy and sell homes in the Bay Area with a legacy of client-first service since 1978. Give them a call at 925-548-4132. That's carrickteam.com. That's it for the sponsors, and that's it for this show. Thank you, everybody. You guys were awesome tonight. I'll see you Wednesday night with Shayna Rubin from the San Francisco Chronicle as we will talk about San Francisco Giants spring training baseball. We'll see you then, everybody.